students who've had sex with their teachers. At what point did your relationship turn physical? How do you feel about it now? When I was 17 I got the chance to go to school in the States, born in Greenland, and so I had a senior year here. The English teacher had just gotten the job there according to the other kids my age. But what happened was I needed help just speaking and learning English better. So she said she'd help me out. I'd come in after school and we'd do the flashcard BS, and eventually she started asking me what I thought about American girls and if I prefer blondes, brunettes and etc. Questions slowly got more personal until she gave me her phone number. Told me to call her at 8 and she'll have plans. I was confused as hell. But when I got to her house my other head took over the thinking. P.S. If I messed up any grammar please excuse it. I didn't pay a lot of attention during the lessons. Edit. A word. A couple I know met as teacher, M, and student, F, at graduate school. According to her, she didn't ask him out until after the grades were in. According to him, she needed an A. But it's my dad, so he is probably kidding. Most of my teachers have ducked me. I'm a teacher. If this gets any serious answers, all I can say is acute. After graduation, I hooked up with my old history teacher a few times. I frequently would watch his daughter when he had to work late. I was invited to go camping with the two of them. Let's have a drink to celebrate the beginning of summer. Changed quickly. I ended it very abruptly when his daughter started calling me mom. I had sex with a high school guidance counselor, but I don't know if that's what you're looking for. Not a teacher but a teacher's assistant. I was a junior in college and she was in her first year of grad school, doubling as a TA. So basically larger classes were always split into smaller sections that had to meet once a week outside of the normal class period. Anyways, I was always pulling solid grades, sat in the front, and would respond to her questions. I later found out that she hated public speaking and was always nervous when she stood in front of our section, so she really appreciated my participation. Plus I was always making jokes and she liked the funny ones. I go to her office hours one day. She helps me out with the paper I was doing and we go eat afterwards. We talked mostly about school and career goals, but also some stuff about the difficulties of dating. And then we go get drinks. And then she was getting way flirty and touching my arms and legs. I end up walking her to her apartment building. She tells me to come up and have a nightcap with her. Halfway through she asks if I'm ever gonna make a move. I put down my drink, leaned over and kissed her. We wound up having sex shortly after and we kept it up for the rest of the school year. And yes, I got an A in the class. She got the D. TLDR. Slept with my TA for being an active participant in class. I had sex with my high school gym teacher after I graduated. I was really overweight and just not pleasant to look at in high school, but I had a huge crush on him. After graduation I lost weight and looked him up on Facebook. I said we should meet up for dinner, so we did. I told him I used to have a gigantic crush on him, which he didn't believe. He said I should go to his place for dinner sometime, and of course I was all for it. I get there and he made a pizza and we had some beer and watched TV on the couch for what seemed like an eternity, just talking and joking. That led to cuddling and while my hand was on his D, he led me to the bedroom and we proceeded to have some of the best sex I've ever had in my life. Since then he's texted me randomly wanting more. We've exchanged pictures and videos and sometimes called each other for the big O but never got together again. Conquest complete. I'm going to be one of those people who answers the question even though it didn't happen to me. There was a girl at my high school who was known to be in a relationship with one of the male teachers. No one really knows if they were in love or just ducking, but she always hung out with a group of friends in his classroom. Basically at every break that class wasn't going on. I guess at some point she started hanging out there by herself as well, and things turned into something more than just friendly. I hung out in there a few times during lunch and they would make blatant sexual remarks to each other, touch each other in ways that were way past a line of student-teacher, and just overall make it obvious that something was going on. The administration eventually questioned the teacher about it and he didn't come back the next year. And TLDR. Girl hung out with male teacher and eventually ended up ducking him, then made it well known to the whole school. Do professors count? You didn't specify as to what type of teacher, so I'm just going to assume so. In grad school I was a research assistant for a professor in her late 30s. Brilliant woman. Gorgeous redhead. Lots of sexual tension. You could tell there was mutual attraction. Our relationship gradually veered into the personal. We would get lunch, drinks together, talk about personal things, deep it like the purpose of life. Her husband, also a professor, was away for the week on conference. We had a meeting to discuss a project of mine. She rescheduled to her home. I had an idea what might be up. I arrived to a cliche. She opened the door in a robe, naked underneath. Dropped the robe once we got inside. She looked me in the eyes and asked me if I wanted to go to bed with her. We had a sexual relationship for the 2 years until I graduated. I graduated and haven't seen her since. My career took me away. How do I feel about it now? Don't think of it that often. When I do, I miss her. As a person, not just s3x. One of the few people I've actually considered to be a friend in my life. One of the 3 women I've developed feelings for. Edit. And this is now my highest rated comment. Liars of Reddit. Tell me a lie. After I graduated HS, I saw my history teacher at a bar and he bought me a drink. Took me back to his place and we ducked. I snuck out the next morning and I haven't heard from him since. Uni professor. Saw this guy on Grindr when I lived on campus and thought his body looked pretty hot. Messaged him. Said he was a prof on campus, so I had to send my pic first. Found out the DPT he taught in and it was mine. Sent my picture on the promise he would. Sent it. Says he never realized I was bi. And he always thought I was fit. Sent his. Says bring a towel and meet at X office in 15 minutes. Met in his office. Sucked me off. Ducked him. Start of a great FWB relationship. Probably should be marked serious. I'd been working for a professor as an undergrad for a couple years. And we'd be close. It wasn't a sexual relationship. But there weren't ever any boundaries. I'd been working for him for about a month when the topic of my birth control came up and he chastised me for not knowing what chemicals were involved, how my birth control worked, etc. It was one of the most awkward conversations ever, because he's my boss, but he felt that it was important I know. Fast forward to senior year. 2 years after being hired, I've recently broken off my engagement. Fiance had expected me to move back to my hometown and be a housewife. That was simply a no-go. I was feeling rebellious and decided to get my nipples pierced. The piecing itself went fine. But 2 days later I realized I was in shock and needed help. I had 0 friends. No car to go to ER in. Professor had put himself through grad school as a physical therapist and figured he had the medical training to help. He chastised me for deforming my body, but dressed the wounds, kissed the top of my head, and left. Somehow, that response meant I needed to chase him. I think the attraction was somewhat mutual because he kept coming by to check on the healing progress. We started watching movies together, then cuddling, then having sex. The relationship lasted 6 years until cancer took him. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about him and miss him terribly. Bit late to the game. I was 17, legal age of consent in Ireland where I am from. She was a 23-year-old 5'2" beautiful French teacher. Bonus points as she was actually French. I was quite good at French, and when we had practice sessions for our oral exam, speaking French to an examiner, I always flirted like crazy with her. On the last day of school I got to talking to her and told her that I needed a coffee and to come with me. She did and we hit it off. We met up several times, and the night before she had to head back France I made my move and ended up doing the diddly all night. Rumors got spread around as we were seen together several times and the whole town knew in the end. Ended up going out for about 6 months before I met my current girlfriend in university. It came to an end and I still look fondly back at our time together. As a bonus fact, I am now a teacher at the school where this all happened, and all the teachers always tease me about it in the staff room. Not a student. I'm actually a teacher. I'm pretty sure the guy was retarded, and he had some odd deformities. Yellowish skin, weird boxy head and scrawny limbs. Definitely not my proudest moment, but due to my weight he was all I could get, so why the hell not? Also, he lived in a pineapple under the sea. OP just wants fat material. Here's my thread. This happened a little over 2 years ago. I was the teacher, 25 years old and teaching ESL while working on my masters. In walks this 20-year-old Brazilian girl who proceeded to eye-duck me all semester. Couldn't even look at her. I would be trying to teach, scanning the room and making eye contact, and here she is waving her leg up and down, finger in mouth. The other students probably thought, oh, absent-minded professor lost his train of thought again as I'm sweating bullets and trying to get my pulse rate down. At this point I knew it was gonna go down eventually. The day the semester ended we took the Pound Town Express for 18 straight hours. We're now happily married and expecting our first child in November. Edit, clarification and a hyphen. Thanks you Razy. I don't know if this fits here, but had sex with my ex-teacher. This thread has thoroughly convinced me to be very wary of marrying a teacher. There are too many stories of cheating. Throwaway account. The stories here so far all seem to be about young guys banging their really hot sexy professors. Sorry, but there won't be many saucy details in my story. But I just wanted to put it out there. I am currently in a relationship with my university professor. He is almost 30 years older than me. I am in the mid to late 20s. It was a serious thing from the beginning. When I enrolled into university I was a little older than most of the students because I had worked before deciding to go to school full time. We first met during a mandatory interview as part of the application process. Being older than most of the applicants and being a little bit more matured probably made me stand out I guess. I remember thinking that he was a little weird at first, but we ended up having a really enjoyable chat about the subject I was going to major in during the interview. I didn't think much of it though, and was just glad that the interview went well. We didn't talk again until I was accepted a few months later and I saw him in the second week of class. Not having studied in a while, I was a little rusty and struggled at first with the rigorous curriculum. So I took the initiative to make appointments with the lecturers for the modules I was having problems with. He was one of them. It is a small private university and classes were small too. So after 1 or 2 such appointments, he definitely knew who I was, as in, I wasn't just another face in the lecture theater to him. He was a very popular lecturer in a school, brilliant, great sense of humor and dedicated. He was well liked and adored by his students, both current and past. I thought he was a good teacher. I thought most of my lecturers were good teachers actually, but wasn't as impressed by him as my classmates were. And anyway, I was there to study and get my degree. It was pretty much the only thing I was focused on, and I wasn't there to date anyone, much less a professor. Sometime during the middle of the academic year, I made an appointment to meet with him to go over questions and to clear my doubts. I absolutely hated it when I couldn't understand a concept no matter how much I tried, regardless of subject, and would always try to clear it up as soon as possible. We would normally meet on campus, but this one time it was a public holiday long weekend, so campus wasn't opened. So he asked if I would be comfortable meeting at his place instead. He assured me it would be completely safe and we can go over as much material as we wanted. By this time of the year, we had already been exchanging emails rather frequently, talking about pretty much everything under the sun. I got the feeling that he liked me, but I tried not to read too much into it. I was starting to like him too. I cautiously accepted his suggestion, but at the same time not wanting to come off as having a silly schoolgirl crush. That day at his place could probably be considered the first day of our relationship. We went through a ton of study material, then talked about films, TV shows, then went out to have a simple dinner. Nothing else happened, but there was definitely something between us. We were both just excited and very happy to be in each other's company. Shortly after this first date, we went out to dinner again, and he looked straight at me and confessed his feelings for me. I did the same. I had been in a really crappy relationship about 3 years prior to this, also with an older man, although not quite as old, and I'd since been very wary about men in general. He had been divorced for about a decade and had pretty much been a loner and a bit of a social recluse outside of his work. In terms of personality, interests, general opinion about things, we are a good fit. It felt like I had found the one person I could finally let my walls down with and be safe. And clearly he felt the same. As for the physical part of the relationship, other than holding hands and kissing, he didn't do much after that second date. We both hadn't been sexually active in years. The physical attraction was definitely there, but I wanted to be really sure before we took things to that level. He was fine with waiting. When it finally happened though, technically, it wasn't impressive, to be honest. Lol. But we cuddled and talked for ages after that. Things in the bedroom have since improved, of course, through practice. I've just graduated from university, and he no longer works there. We've been together for 2+ years now. The very few people who know about us do not approve. For obvious reasons. While it is not illegal, it was definitely against ethics for him, as a teacher, to become involved with his student. It never crossed our mind at the beginning that it would be considered unethical, because we genuinely liked each other and I wasn't sleeping with him for better grades. In addition to that, he is old enough to be my father. I dare not think about our long-term future, because I am not sure if it will ever be possible for us to conduct our relationship openly. But in any case, I'm happy with us now. Not sure if too late, but whatever. So I was 22 at the time and working on a project my faculty was doing with the faculty from another country. It was a travel research project and we were paired up, one student from each uni. After we did the trip and all the research was grouped and processed, we had a meetup in city that was halfway for all of us. So we all had to travel and organize where we're going to stay. I rented a tiny yacht on Airbnb so I could be alone and get a good night's sleep since I hate hostels. There we had to present the findings and the end product, and all the students and professors that worked on the project were there. Around 30 people. So we did the bullet speed dating creative teamwork stuff I knew was gonna be boring, but whatever. So I get paired up with a teacher from the other uni, and to be honest she was pretty hot. 36F. Nice. Athletic body. So I was talking to her and she was strictly business. We talked about the boring project stuff. Whatever. Later all of us went to a bar where we had an open tab and got hammered. Danced and just had fun. As I'm planning to leave, around 4 AM, she just walks up to me, says, "I'm coming with you." I was taken aback at first, but since I was freshly single and Pamela Henderson wasn't cutting it, I was down with it. We got to the apartment, and I barely closed the door and she was already all over me. She was insane in the sack, and I'm pretty sure the alcohol just intensified everything. We had sex, fell asleep, had sex once more when we woke up, hopped down to a bakery to eat something, got back, had sex in the shower, she got dressed, went back to her hotel, and I just crashed on the bed, wondering what the duck happened. TLDR, did a project, met a teacher from another uni, got drunk, had sex several times, 13/10 want to do it again.